Yes.
Hello, everyone. This is Jackie Schwab returning with the Press Play Lifestyle Inspired podcast, where we do interviews with wonderful folks like my friend Lisa here on topics that help our listeners, that's you, find the resources, tools, and support they need to be their best inspired selves. So how are you today, Lisa?
Well, I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's like I live in Wisconsin and it's freezing. I like have a blanket on and everything. It's just so cold. So where are you from? Where are
I
you?
live about 30 miles east of San Francisco. So we have a beautiful sunny day, about 70 degrees today.
Oh, that's great. You guys had a little weather though. Like a couple weeks ago, you were like in the 40s, weren't you?
We were,
Yeah,
yes.
some of my other podcast guests were like, "I'm so cold." I'm like, "What is it, 70?" They're like, "No, it's like 40. I'm really cold." I was like, "Oh, that is a little cold for you guys." I think we were 13 this morning. So
Oh,
yeah, and it's getting warmer though. It started a couple weeks ago. It was like literally 5 degrees when I left the house, and I thought, "Oh, why do I live here? I don't know what am I thinking? Why do I live here?"
do you know the only time I've lived outside of California was when I went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison for my master's degree.
Oh, see, I knew I liked you for a reason. Madison is a nice place, but other people have lots of fun hair colors in Madison. You see a little
Yes.
less of that in Milwaukee where I live, um, but yeah, it's definitely cold. So that was probably fun. So I'm so glad that you decided to try to make some time in your busy day to meet with all of us and all of our listeners. And I wonder if you might take a few minutes just to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about you, maybe about that really pretty book sitting in the back corner. That would be great.
Yes, I am a mom mentor and a speaker and author of the best-selling book, Surviving Your Out of Control Teen. And there's a long sub thing. It's a mom's guide to loving your child through the difficult times and keeping your sanity intact.
A
And
lot of
it is,
words.
yes, it is. It is my story of what we went through with primarily with our son and the lessons learned. And I wrote this book and I work with moms to help them. I don't want anybody to go through everything that we went through. And if I can help transform, uh, shift what's going on in their homes so that they find peace and hope again, that's what I'm there for. Our son he was a doozy. I always say that he pretty much did everything you don't want your teenager to do. And when he was younger, we saw signs of some troubles, but we never ever expected it to get as bad as it was and as bad as it did. And um, no matter if you prepare yourself or not, it came as quite a shock. And it just, at one point it was so bad, I actually called the police on my own son. And it was really questionable whether he would graduate high school. It was smoking, shoplifting. I mean, just, lots of things.
Giving you a run for your money, huh?
He did. He was a doozy, I tell you. And for me as the mom, it was so hard because we were so close when he was little. When I had to tell the story of dad went to pick him up to change his diaper and he was like, no, he was hitting dad. No, no, mom. He's like, he was my boy. And then when he turned 13 and everything kind of escalated, all of a sudden I was the Antichrist. He just couldn't stand the sight of me. And it was just so hard to deal with that. And during those years, you just feel heartbroken, guilty. You're grieving that loss of that relationship that you had, of that little kid that you had. Shame and embarrassment. You see, FOMO, or not FOMO, but when you're comparing your kids to other people's kids because other people's kids are winning track meets or getting scholarships or going off to college. And I was like, ooh, well, my son got up before noon today. Ooh. So it was really tricky there for a long time, and it took us a long time. It took us about a year to decide to send him away to residential therapeutic school. That is just the hardest decision in your life. I just kept thinking he was going to turn around. I just kept hoping. I kept, whatever. And we finally made that decision. And we had the guys come in the middle of the night, knock on the door. We told him, okay, you're going to go off to a school in Utah, and we'll see you, kind of
Wow.
thing. And so he ended up spending a couple of years away from us during high school. And not only was this a great time for us to have some peace back in our lives, some feeling of safety again, but also to kind of look at myself in particular. I can only speak for myself. And I just realized some things that I should or could be doing that could shift what was happening. And once I finally got to that point, and my son did a lot of good work. He worked with great therapists and great teachers, but I really believe the big turning point came when I realized how I was parenting, and then it just was not working. And there were other ways that I could parent, other ways that I could be with my son that would build connection and not contribute to that conflict. And I really believe that once I started shifting my own reactions, that's when things shifted, especially in our relationship. I feel just so happy and so blessed that he and I have a good relationship again. And I'm just so proud of him. I'm so proud of us as a family, and that we came through this. We're on the other side now.
Yeah. I think a lot of times necessity is the mother of invention, right?
Right.
So we have 4 children, and my third child's on the autism spectrum, and things get dicey for us once a day or so, and it really is. In her case, there are some shifts that she won't ever be able to really do.
Right.
And so I realized, I'm so thankful for her, because I realized that it was my job to parent all of my kids the way my kids needed to be parented,
Yes.
not the way that
Absolutely.
I wanted to be a parent, if that makes sense.
Right.
And it's hard, right? It's scary. And how many times I'm like, I know these people are looking at me and judging me, and but it doesn't matter, right? Because you have to be the best parent for your child, and their opinions don't really matter.
Absolutely. And that was one thing that I wish I had been a bigger advocate for my son, and had been more aware and just had more ability to see him for who he was and is. I see him much more clearly now as like a person first and my son second, and really being able to be there for him and who he is, as well as knowing that he's doing the best he can where he's at, and that just like I have and you have wounds and beliefs and opinions and emotional charges that we got from childhood, he has them too. And to acknowledge that our teenagers are working through a lot, and on top of it, the hormones, the society, the changes that's going on in their relationships, just everything. And then on top of it, when I work with my clients, I find that the things that cause our beliefs around worthiness or whatever usually occur either like 3, 4, 5, or 12 and 13. It's a lot of things come up from things that happen at 12 and 13. And so, they're, besides all the changes they're going through, they also are having experiences that we don't even know about, that are really impacting their sense of self-worth, their sense of self-esteem, their sense of safety.
Yeah. So do you work mostly with the moms, or do you work with the families, or how do you approach this topic of the out of control teen?
I work mostly with the moms, and in a couple of things that we do. One is to help them move through all those emotions, because we know when we're really emotional, when we're overwhelmed with with grief and fear and worry that we don't think as clearly. And so when we can work through those emotions and remove the triggers and the charge, then we actually can think better, and we can come up with the solutions that are going to fit, be the right fit for our teens and ourselves and our families. Just think better.
So I think one of the things I thought I heard you say at the beginning was it was you that realized that you had the power to change yourself and how you were showing up for your son. Do moms come in thinking that they're the ones that are going to change? Or, how does that, because I got to imagine how hard that would be as a mom. Like, I need help, I'm freaking out. And you wouldn't do this, but you go, yeah, well, you have to change.
Right.
I was like, that's going to go over like a giant lead balloon, right?
Right. No, a lot of families are just like, I just want to fix my son or my daughter. But I think moms are pretty aware that things are not quite working somehow. And they may actually, I think for me, I know I felt powerless and helpless when I was going through that situation with my son. Like I couldn't change it. And I want to give moms their hope back and their power back. And it's not power and control over their child or to make their child act or be a certain way, but to own their own selves and their own power and control in that situation, knowing full well that if you change yourself, it changes the other side. You cannot not change the other side. If you change your part of the dynamic's going to change.
Yeah, I remember one of my favorite, like, unexpected lessons for myself as I might get a bit worked up once in a while. Don't tell my kids, but I get a little worked up. And I was really frustrated, and the baby was sick, and he was 2, but and he was laying on my chest. And I remember I just started breathing really deeply. I was just trying to like calm myself down because he was upset, and his breathing matched mine. Right. I calmed down, he calmed down, which calmed me down, which calmed him down. And I think sometimes we forget with our teens, so I have a 14-year-old now, that even if they don't act like they're paying attention or they don't act like they see what's happening, they do, right? They feel that tension. And throwing an angry, banshee scream is what I might yell once in a while. Throwing that at her I'm getting it back.
Yes.
And she's giving it right back, which is new, right? Like before it used to not like go quite that way. But I kind of started it, right? So like, okay, if I can, all right, I'm upset, but if I can respond instead of react, sometimes that it makes the situation go a little bit better.
Absolutely. And when teens feel, well, it's funny in our culture, there's so many educational opportunities and moms groups and everything when you have a new baby. And there's not a lot of support when you move into this transition, this new time between the tweens and the teens, as if we're supposed to all of a sudden know how to parent these kids who are completely different, Yeah. And so it is really important to start shifting your parenting during those years so that you become, you still are their home base, but it's not in any way coming from the authoritarian and controlling way, because that, like you said, that is exactly the way to kind of set up resistance and rebellion. And the teens have a real sensitivity to any threat to their autonomy. That's their whole purpose, is to become autonomous. And so whether we're doing too much for them or we're controlling them too much or whatever we're trying to do to kind of, it's always not always, but most of the time it's out of our concern and love for them. But it sets up a belief in them that they're not capable, that they're not able to deal with their own instances, or that they can't trust themselves, that kind of a thing. And so when we can offer them an opportunity to be autonomous in any way, shape, or form, while they're still at home in a safe container, with you there to back them up, that's so critical. Like I actually see a lot of people go, my teenager won't wear a coat, and they're just so upset. And I'm like, let them not wear a coat. That is control over their own body, which is a basic thing people need to understand and know, that they have control over their own bodies. And yes, if they get sick, the moms are usually the ones that bear the brunt of, caring for them and everything. But A, it's a great learning experience. B, if they're not cold, they're not cold. Don't make them wear a coat.
Yeah, we call
So
it
it's,
our house the law of natural consequences.
yes,
And it's with lots of little things. Like when we first had our child, our special child, I was like a really relaxed parent until I wasn't, right? Because now all of a sudden I'm super worried about her, and what if she can't do this and she can't do this and she can't do this? But there's like the dignity of risk, right? You have to allow your child to be. And it's so hard as a mom because we want to protect them. But gosh, we also want them to protect themselves when they leave.
yes,
And I think we forget that that's our job, is to raise them to be independent people, which means they're going to have to suffer through them being a little bit independent. And
yes.
hopefully we just can keep them on the respectful side of that. but yeah, So
I love that term. I love that term, the dignity of risk. That's a
oh,
great term.
it's a common term actually. I'm on the Wisconsin Board of People with Disabilities,
Mm,
and it's a really interesting concept I hadn't really heard about until I became involved with that group. But it's every human being has the right to fall down, right?
mhm.
That's how we learn. We learn by making mistakes, like feedback. It's not failure, it's
Absolutely.
feedback. But if we helicopter parent any of our kids at any age, um, all the time, then we take away that we strip them of their dignity to fall and to.
Yes.
It's still hard though. I mean, I get that, and I get why you're there. You're like a great resource for moms to come to and say, what's going on? I don't know what to do. And you've been through it, and it sounds like it
Yeah,
was a difficult journey for you.
it was.
So do you have
Yeah.
other children?
Yes, I have an older daughter as well. And she was difficult during middle school, but not nearly to the extent that our
Yeah.
son ended up being difficult.
Yeah. Are
Yes,
you and your son now, do you have a good relationship? Are you still friends? I mean, yeah.
we do. And he recently started his first full-time regular with benefits job, and he's doing really well.
That's
And
amazing.
so it is, and I'm proud of him, and I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that the shift in me and the shift in our relationship and the shift in our family, we have such a loving, close family again. It's
Oh,
just grateful.
that's beautiful. So
Yeah.
how can moms who are just like at wit's end, how
Mhm.
can they find you, or how can they get supported through either your book, or if you have any other services, what can they do to find Miss Lisa?
Well, they can find me online at lisagaynichols.com, and it's Gay, and I have to do that because there's a famous Lisa Nichols in
I
the
know there was. I was
transformational
like,
field.
like,
Yeah,
what?
I know, right?
When I look for you in my email now, it brings up a lot of you and a lot of her. And I'm like,
Good.
oh, wait, no, that's the other Lisa.
Yes, yes. Someone told me, "Oh, you're the other famous Lisa Nichols." I'm like, "Oh, I
Oh,
like
there
that.
you go.
Thank
I
you."
like that better, right?
Yeah, yes. So lisagaynichols.com, and they can reach out to me. We can have a free 30-minute parenting your teen breakthrough session. I can really talk about what's going on with them. And I can give them get really crystal clear where they're at and where they want to be, give them some recommendations. And, if it works out that we continue working together, that would be great too. I think also from lisagaynichols.com, you can download my book for free.
You can,
You
yeah.
can, you can.
That's awful generous of you. It took so much time and effort for you to put that together.
Well, I want to put the resources out there. I want moms to know that they're not alone when you're going through that situation. You feel so isolated, so hopeless, so helpless, And I really want to give moms the resource so that they, like I said before, feel hopeful, feel their power back. Yeah.
What would be, do you have any like of your favorite advice that you try to give other moms that are really struggling?
Well, I referred to it earlier, which is see your child first as a person. Step aside. And if this was your friend's child and they were behaving the way they were, would you react to them in the way that you react to your own child? Or would there be a little more leeway, a little more compassion, a little more curiosity about what's going on with them, and not just what your expectations are, and not just what you want from them, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So it's really about being curious, finding out what's going on with them. And they may not answer you. It's just be there over and over and over again until they're there, then until they know they can trust you, until they're ready to tell you.
Yeah, that reminds me of when I was in one of my various coaching certification programs. I loved when they said that healing doesn't come from a place of judgment. It only comes from a place of curiosity. And so if you feel like your relationship is broken with anyone, but in this case, your child, maybe consider whether you're being curious with them or being judgmental, because no one heals from that place where they think they're better than someone else,
Right.
versus like, why are you acting that way? Or how can I support what you're going through?
Yeah, definitely. And also the teen years, they seem like they're forever, but it is just a few years in their lives. And they come out of it, and really you're setting up a couple of things. You're setting them up for being an adult, and you're setting up your relationship with them as an adult.
Mm.
And so you don't want to go down such a long road that having this good, positive, wonderful relationship with your adult child gets off to a rocky start because of the teen years. So
Yeah.
just kind of, if you have expectations of them, check in if that actually is still true for them. Like I had a mom who thought that if her son didn't go immediately to four-year university after high school, she had failed as a mom.
Oh.
And, we talked about, well, she had that expectation before she even knew who her son was. Maybe he was an artist. Maybe he's a musician. Maybe four-year university isn't right for him. Maybe he needs a little more extra time to develop or grow or get comfortable with the idea and go to junior college or, community college. So it's just kind of, also check in with your expectations, and are they in alignment with who your child is, who you are now, who your family is now.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. Make sure if anyone's interested in your book that it's right now free to download, The Out of Control Teen. It's lisagaynichols.com, because, she's the other famous Lisa Nichols.
That's right.
And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to meet with us today. It was really great getting to know you and getting to know the services that you help other moms provide. And I hopefully will see you with another book or some other wonderful resource that you're sharing with the audience someday soon.
Yes, book number 2 is underway.
Oh, look at that. See, I didn't even know that. I'm psychic or something.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you so much too for all that you do to create a better, kinder world and give people resources. And thank you for allowing me to be one of your guests. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, you have a great day. I'll see you soon.
You too. Okay.